Stop looking for affordable housing in Florida. It doesn't exist. If your Social Security check is $1,200 a month, staying in the US isn't a retirement plan. It's a poverty trap. But here's what they won't tell you. That same $1,200 buys you an upper middle class life in 7 countries. But stop. Most YouTubers lie about the visas. They say it's easy. It's not. Today I'm giving you the raw legal truth on how to actually stay, starting with the cheapest country on earth and building to the absolute gold standard. We're looking at 7 countries where your check actually buys a life. This isn't vacation advice. This is the bureaucratic reality of 2026 visa rules. Some countries want your money up front, some want property. And one will literally pay you to live there through government discounts. We're counting down from the riskiest hack to the gold standard. Let's get uncomfortable. Number 7, Vietnam, the visa run trap. This is the cheapest place on this entire list. And when I say cheap, I mean you can live like royalty in cities like Da Nang or Nha Trang for $800 to $1,000 a month. We're talking high-speed fiber internet, incredible food, modern apartments with elevators, security, and balconies overlooking the South China Sea. A 2-bedroom apartment runs you $350 to $450 a month. A bowl of pho costs $1.50. A full meal at a mid-range restaurant is $5. Your $1,200 check here? You're thriving. You got money left over for weekend trips, custom-tailored suits for $60, eating out every night. You're hiring a housekeeper for $20 a week. But here's the trap that most travel bloggers conveniently forget to mention. Vietnam does not have a retirement visa. There is no pensionado program like you'll see in Latin America. There is no special category for retirees who just want to live peacefully and spend money in the local economy. What you're actually doing is entering the world of the visa run. As of 2026, you're most likely relying on the 90-day e-visa. This is a legitimate tourist visa. You apply online, you pay $50, you get 90 days in the country. It's simple. It works. Until day 91. Every 3 months, you must physically leave Vietnam and re-enter to reset your visa clock. That means 4 times a year, you are booking a flight to Bangkok or taking a bus to Cambodia or flying to Singapore. You're spending money on transport, on hotels, on meals. You're burning through a weekend just to maintain your legal status. Is it doable? Absolutely. Thousands of digital nomads and early retirees do this exact dance every year. The Vietnamese immigration authorities know what's happening. They don't love it, but they generally tolerate it as long as you're not working illegally. But here's the risk that should terrify you. You have zero long-term security. If Vietnam decides tomorrow to crack down on perpetual tourists, you're done. You have no appeal process. You have no rights. You're on a plane within 72 hours. And immigration rules do change overnight. Look at what Thailand did in 2022 when they suddenly started rejecting visa-exempt entry stamps for people who'd been doing runs for years. You also can't open a local bank account easily. Most Vietnamese banks require a work permit or long-term visa. So you're living on ATM withdrawals, paying international fees every time you pull out dong, and you're carrying around wads of cash like it's 1985. There's also no path to permanent residency. You're not building toward anything. You're in an eternal loop. This option is for the adventurous retiree who values rock-bottom costs over stability. If you're 55, healthy, flexible, and you've got a sense of adventure, Vietnam can give you an incredible 5 or 10 years. If you want to plant roots, if you have health issues that require continuity of care, if the idea of packing a bag every quarter stresses you out, keep watching. Now, before we jump to number 6, let me paint you the transition here, because this is where the strategy shifts. Vietnam showed us the bargain basement option, incredible value, but you're trading security for savings. As we move up this list, you're going to see the costs rise, but so does the legal stability. The question you need to ask yourself with each country is this: what am I willing to sacrifice, and what is non-negotiable? For some of you, legal security is non-negotiable. You need to sleep at night knowing you're not going to get deported. For others, you'd rather keep an extra $300 in your pocket every month and deal with the visa runs. There's no wrong answer, there's only your answer. Let's talk about Europe. Number 6, Montenegro, the property play. Number 6 is the Mediterranean country that nobody talks about, Montenegro. If you've even heard of Montenegro, you probably think it's expensive. It's Europe after all. It's got that Adriatic coastline, those medieval towns, the mountains. But here's the secret. Montenegro is not in the Schengen zone yet. It's not in the EU. And because of that, it's still affordable. And it still wants foreign investment. You can live in Montenegro on your $1,200 budget. We're talking about the quieter towns like Bar, Ulcinj, or the outskirts of Budva. Not the yacht harbors, not the luxury resorts, but real towns with real people, where your monthly expenses fit within your check. Rent is 300 to 400 euros, utilities another 80 to 100, groceries if you shop local markets, maybe 200 euros. You're eating fresh Mediterranean fish, local lamb, produce that was picked that morning. The strategy here is fundamentally different from Vietnam. You don't get residency in Montenegro just by showing income. You get in by owning property. The visa you're targeting is called the Type D visa, or the temporary residence permit, and it can be granted if you own a habitable residential unit in the country. Basically, if you buy an apartment, you get to live there. Here's the reality check on the numbers. You can still find small apartments in Bar or in the hills outside Budva for under 60,000 euros. That's around 65,000 US dollars at current exchange rates. These aren't luxury units, they're older buildings, maybe Soviet-era construction, but they're solid. They've got heating, plumbing, and they're yours. If you got a paid-off house in the States, if you got a small inheritance, if you've been saving for years, this could work. You sell your asset in the US, you buy cash in Montenegro, and now you've got residency. Your $1,200 a month covers everything else. Groceries in Montenegro are cheap, fresh produce, bread, cheese, local wine. It's all affordable. Healthcare exists, but here's the gotcha. You must pay for private health insurance because as a foreign resident, you are not covered by the state system. Expect to budget 100 to 150 a month for a decent private plan, but here's the bureaucratic filter that eliminates most people. You must renew this residency every single year. It is not one and done. You are tethered to the local MUP office. That's the Ministry of Interior. Every year, you're gathering documents, proving you still own the property, proving you still have income, standing in line with a translator because most MUP officers don't speak English. If you're renting instead of owning, this door is completely closed. Montenegro doesn't grant residency to renters. You need that deed in your name. So Montenegro is for the retiree who has capital but not a huge income. You've got 60 grand liquid, you're willing to navigate Balkan bureaucracy, and you want to live in Europe on a budget. If you're pure social security with no savings, this won't work. Let's shift continents now, because up to this point, we've been in Southeast Asia and the Balkans. Now we're heading to South America, where the visa programs are older, more established, and frankly, more welcoming to retirees. But, as you'll see, welcoming doesn't mean easy. Number 5, Uruguay, the patience test. If you want safety, if you want a government that actually functions, if you want infrastructure that works, this is the Switzerland of South America. Uruguay has stable politics, clean drinking water, a functioning public healthcare system, and crime rates that make it one of the safest countries in the region. It's beautiful. Montevideo has a European feel. The people are educated and welcoming. The wine is good, the beef is world-class, and the lifestyle is relaxed. The healthcare system is universal. Once you're a permanent resident, you're covered. But here's the hard truth. Uruguayan bureaucracy is slow. Everything requires a tramite, a bureaucratic procedure. The visa you want here is called the Rentista visa. To qualify, you need to prove a monthly income. The base requirement has historically hovered around $1,500 US dollars. Now, you're sitting there with your $1,200 check thinking, I'm out. Not so fast. Uruguayan immigration judges have discretion. If you're at $1,200 a month and you can show additional savings, they may approve you. If you got 20 or 30,000 in the bank, you can argue that bridges the gap. It's not guaranteed, but it's possible. The real barrier here isn't the money, it's time. The Uruguayan bureaucracy is legendary for being slow. Not corrupt, not incompetent, just slow. Everything takes forever. When you apply for your Rentista visa, you enter a limbo state called Residencia in Tramite. You're in process. You're allowed to live in Uruguay during this period, but you can't leave the country for extended periods without complicating your application. You're stuck. It can take 6 months. It can take 2 years. I've heard of cases where it took 3. You're sitting in Montevideo, watching your savings slowly drain while you wait for a government employee to stamp a piece of paper. You can't plan trips. You can't go back to the States for a family emergency without risking your application. You're in bureaucratic purgatory. Once you get that permanent residency card, you are golden. Uruguay grants you full access to the public healthcare system. You can come and go as you please. You can even apply for citizenship after 5 years if you want, but you have to survive the waiting room first. Uruguay is for the patient retiree, the one who can afford to be in limbo, the one who values long-term stability over short-term convenience. If you need certainty, if you need quick answers, if you're the kind of person who gets anxious when things are vague, Uruguay will break you. Now we're moving into Europe proper, and this is where things get interesting because most people assume Europe is completely off the table for someone on Social Security. They're wrong, but the path is narrow and the requirements are tricky. Number 4, Greece, the solvency barrier. Yes, you can live in Europe on a $1,200 budget, but you have to be smart about where. Forget Santorini, forget Mykonos, forget Athens unless you're willing to live in a sketchy neighborhood. We're talking about the Peloponnese, the interior of Crete, the smaller villages on the mainland, places where old women still dress in black, where the taverna owner knows your name by the second visit, where rent on a 2-bedroom house is 400 euros a month. These villages are the real Greece. No cruise ships, no tourist traps, just life as it's been lived for centuries. The food is absurdly good and absurdly cheap if you shop local. Fresh olive oil, tomatoes, feta cheese, honey, wine from the neighbor's vineyard. You're spending 200 euros a month on food and eating like a king. People confuse Greek residency with the Golden Visa program, which requires you to buy property worth at least 250,000 euros. You don't need that. You're not an investor. You're a retiree. What you need is called the Financially Independent Person Visa, or FIP. Here's the 2026 reality check. The official income requirement for the FIP visa is 2,000 euros per month. At current exchange rates, that's about 2,200 US dollars. You're thinking, I'm done. I've only got 1,200. Here's the loophole. Greek consulates can accept savings to make up the difference. If you have $25,000 or $30,000 in the bank, you can deposit that into a Greek bank account and use it to prove solvency for the visa duration, which is typically 1 or 2 years. You're not spending that money. It's just sitting there as proof that you won't become a burden on the Greek state. Once you're in and you've established residency, your actual cost of living in a Greek village can easily be under $1,200 a month, but the entry fee is proving you have more. If you have zero savings and only the Social Security check, Greece will reject your application. Period. There's no discretion here. The consulates follow the rules. This is what I call the aspirational trap. Greece looks perfect on paper, Mediterranean climate, incredible food, access to the rest of Europe, friendly people. But unless you got capital, the door's closed. Greece is for the retiree who's been smart with money, who's got a cushion, who can meet the paper requirements even if the daily reality is cheaper. If you're living check to check, skip it. Let's head to Asia again, but this time to a country that genuinely wants American retirees and has built one of the smoothest visa programs in the world. The catch? You need to pay to play. Number 3, Philippines, the deposit hurdle. If you're over 50 years old and the idea of learning Spanish or Greek terrifies you, this is your landing pad. English is an official language, not broken English or tourist English, real English. Every street sign, every government form, every TV show, every newspaper, every conversation can happen in English. You will never feel lost linguistically. The cultural ties to America run deep. The Philippines was a U.S. territory for decades. Filipinos consume American media. They follow the NBA religiously. They celebrate Christmas starting in September with American songs and decorations. You can get Costco-sized products at S&M markets. You can watch American sports at sports bars. You can find expat communities in places like Dumaguete or Puerto Galera, where everyone speaks English and understands American cultural references. You're not going to feel like an alien. And your $1,200 check, it gets you a 1-bedroom condo in a building with a pool, a gym, and 24-hour security. It gets you a housekeeper who comes twice a week for $60 a month. It gets you groceries delivered to your door from apps that actually work. It gets you access to world-class diving, pristine beaches, and enough left over to island hop every weekend if you want. The people are warm, hospitable, and genuinely seem to like Americans. Customer service actually exists here, unlike in many countries where foreigners are tolerated at best. Filipinos are service-oriented culturally. They smile, they help, they go out of their way. The visa you want is the SRRV, the Special Resident Retirees Visa. This is one of the best retirement programs in the world in terms of what it offers. It grants you permanent residency, you can stay indefinitely, you can enter and exit the country freely, you get most of the rights of a citizen without actually naturalizing. But there's a buy-in. To get the SRRV, you need to park a deposit in a Philippine bank. The amount depends on which option you choose. For the classic SRRV option, if you're receiving a pension, which you are with Social Security, the deposit requirement is typically $10,000 US. If you don't use the pension option, it's $20,000. That money is frozen, it's not gone, it's yours. But you can't spend it on groceries. You can use it to buy a long-term lease on a condo, but you can't withdraw it for daily expenses. If you can hurdle that initial capital requirement, the rest is easy. The annual renewal fee is $360. That's it. No income verification, no proof of anything. You just pay the fee and you're good for another year. For a lot of retirees, $10,000 is doable. Maybe you've got a savings account. Maybe you cash out a small 401k. Maybe you sell your car before you move. It's not an insane amount. But if you're someone who's got nothing but the monthly check, the Philippines just priced you out. This is the cruel math of retiring abroad. The countries that make it easiest often require capital up front. The countries that don't require capital make everything else harder. Now we're down to the top two. And this is where we enter the world of true pensionado programs. These are countries that have specifically designed visa categories for retirees. They want you. They've built infrastructure around you. But even here, the devil is in the details. Number 2, Costa Rica, the tax trap. This is the classic expat destination. The OG retirees have been moving to Costa Rica since the 1970s. The pensionado program is well established, well understood, and well staffed. The income requirement is stable at $1,000 US per month for a single applicant. Your $1,200 Social Security check clears this bar easily. You get residency for 2 years, and it's renewable as long as you maintain the income. The application process is straightforward. You get an FBI background check, you get your birth certificate apostilled, you prove your pension with an official Social Security letter, and you submit everything through a local lawyer. 6 to 12 months later, you've got your residency card. Costa Rica is stunning. Rainforests, beaches on both coasts, mountains, cloud forests. The biodiversity is insane. The people call themselves Ticos, and they have a national philosophy called Pura Vida, pure life. It's an actual lifestyle. Things move slower, stress is lower, the healthcare system is good. Private hospitals like CIMA in San Jose are world-class with US-trained doctors at a fraction of US costs. The country is politically stable. The expat community is massive and well-established. You can find English-speaking professionals everywhere. So why is it number 2 and not number 1? Here's the gotcha that nobody budgets for. The Caja. It is the Costa Rican Social Security healthcare system, Costarricense de Seguro Social. And to maintain your pensionado residency, you must pay into it. This is not optional. It's not a choice. The cost is based on the income you report to immigration. On a $1,200 monthly income, expect to pay about 10 to 12% right off the top. That's $120 to $140 gone every single month. Now your actual spendable budget is $1,060. Can you still live on that? Yes. But things in Costa Rica have gotten expensive over the last decade. It's not the bargain it was in 2005. Rent in popular expat towns like Atinas or Grisha runs $600 to $800 a month for a decent place. Groceries, if you're buying imported goods, are comparable to US prices. Electricity is expensive because of the heat and humidity. You're running fans, maybe air conditioning. You're living simply. You're eating at local sodas, those little mom and pop diners. You're not buying American brands. You're not running the AC 24/7. You're budgeting carefully. It's doable, but it's tight. Costa Rica is paradise, but paradise has a price tag. And that Caja payment is the surprise bill that a lot of retirees don't factor in until they're already committed. If you can handle the financial squeeze, Costa Rica offers an incredible quality of life. But if you want your $1,200 to feel like more, not less, there's one country that beats everything else. Number 1, Panama, the gold standard. This is the only country on this list that treats retirees like a protected class. It's the only place where the government has looked at foreign retirees and said, we want you here so badly that we're going to give you actual financial incentives. The pensionado visa is the gold standard for American retirees in 2026. Let me tell you why. First, the income requirement is $1,000 a month from a lifetime pension. Your $1,200 Social Security check qualifies you immediately. No discretion needed, no savings required, no property purchase, just proof of pension. Second, It grants you permanent residency, not temporary, not renewable every year or every 2 years. Permanent. From day one, you get your residency card and you're done. You can come and go as you please. You can stay in Panama forever or split your time. The government does not care. Third, and this is the real kicker, the discounts. As a resident pensionado, you are entitled to mandatory discounts across the economy, 25% off utility bills, 25% off airline tickets that originate in Panama, 15% off hospital bills, 20% off medical consultations, 10% off prescription medications, 15 to 25% off hotel stays, 30% off bus, train, and boat fares, 25% off restaurant checks if they participate in the program. These are not suggestions. These are legal requirements. Businesses must give you these discounts or they face penalties. Let's do the math. Your $1,200 Social Security check in Panama effectively has the purchasing power of $1,400 to $1,500 because of these discounts. You're stretching every dollar by 20 to 30% depending on your spending habits. The currency is the US dollar, so there's no exchange rate risk. You're not dealing with pesos or baht or euros. Your bank account in the States works just fine. You can use your American credit cards. You can pull cash from ATMs without conversion fees. The healthcare system is excellent. You've got access to world-class hospitals in Panama City like Hospital Punta Pacifica, which is affiliated with Johns Hopkins. A doctor's visit costs $30. A specialist is $60. Your pensionado discount knocks that down further. The cost of living outside of Panama City is incredibly reasonable. Towns like Boquete, David, or Peñonome offer a high quality of life for well under $1,000 a month in rent and groceries. And Panama is stable. It's a dollarized economy. It's got strong ties to the US. The Panama Canal means global commerce flows through here. It's not going to collapse overnight. The application process is lawyer-driven, but it's fast by international standards. You'll need the same documents you'd need anywhere. FBI background check, apostilled birth certificate, proof of pension. You hire a local attorney, they handle the submission, and you typically have your residency within 6 to 9 months. There's no trap here. There's no hidden tax. There's no deposit requirement. There's no property purchase mandate. Panama wants American retirees, and it's put its money where its mouth is. This is the mathematically sound, legally stable, financially intelligent option for someone living on Social Security in 2026. 7 countries, 7 strategies. Vietnam, lowest cost, but visa runs every 90 days. Montenegro, Europe, but you need capital to buy property. Uruguay, stable and safe, but years of bureaucratic waiting. Greece, Mediterranean dream, but requires savings to prove solvency. Philippines, English everywhere, but 10 grand deposit up front. Costa Rica, proven program, but the KJA tax eats your budget. Panama, permanent residency, legal discounts, financial breathing room. If you got a $1,200 Social Security check and you're asking me where to go, Panama, no question. But none of this happens without work. Every apostille, every form, every background check, that's the filter. If you can't handle 3 months of paperwork, you can't handle living abroad. The freedom is real, the lower costs are real, but it comes after the work. Pick one country, visit the consulate website today, download the forms, start gathering documents, book a call with an immigration lawyer. Information without action is just entertainment. Want the tax breakdown? How to handle the IRS while living abroad. Comment taxes and I'll make that next. Moving abroad isn't an escape, it's an upgrade, but only if you do it right. See you in the next one.